Hi, everybody, and welcome to Be in the Know, Table Games and More. And tonight, I'm very excited. I got amazing special guests on the program. This guy, when Letterman does his show called This Person Needs No Introduction, this person really doesn't need no introduction. Derek Stevens is the owner of the Golden Gate, the D, the Circa downtown events center. We'll get into more about what you've done for downtown, Derek. But Derek Stevens, welcome to Be in the Know.
Benny, I'm honored to be here. First time on the show. Big fan of yours, as you know.
So, Derek, I had Mike Palm on a few months ago, and he talked a lot about your introduction into the business. So I'm not going to get into a lot about your casinos because I want to talk sports. I was always in amazement of you and your passion for sports. And I just, I kind of had a feeling that someday you would be in the sports business, which you are now. So I know there's a lot of things in your life you're proud of, especially your family. I think your family, your son, plays baseball, your beautiful wife, Nicole. But, you got to be proud of other things. Your impact on downtown, especially the renewal of Fremont Street. And, you brought that Fremont Street back beyond its original glory. And then you've got to be proud of the Circa Las Vegas, the most amazing casino right now, probably the hottest casino. Everybody I talk to comes back from Las Vegas. They talk about, did you ever see the Circa Las Vegas? You see this pool? You see the sports book? That's all they talk about. That's all. The first thing that I hear when I talk to anybody who went to Vegas, they talk about Circa. It's amazing, and what a great accomplishment. But I'm betting there's something else near the top of your achievement of the last decade, and that's developing your own sports brand and sports wagering through the Circa Sports. Am I right, Derek?
Well, Benny, you're absolutely right. I bought into the Golden Gate. I came to Vegas in 2006 and bought into the Golden Gate. And at that point in time, there was a sports book back there. It was a Leroy's. And then, that flipped over to William Hill at some point. And, I always wanted to be in the sports business. But, back in those days, I always felt we didn't have enough scale. So then, 2010, 2011 come around and we got in the mix to buy Fitzgerald's. We were able to get that deal done in October of 11 and then decided to rebrand it, renovate it, turn it into the D Las Vegas. We still wanted to be in the sports business, but I also felt at that point in time, we didn't have enough scale. At Fitzgerald's, they had a William Hill counter, and we always wanted to get into it. But again, I didn't think we had enough scale. And then something happened in about 2014, 2015. We were having a March Madness party up in the Detroit Ballroom at the D, and you could see what was happening. There was in-game wagering was taking place, and the lines in our party started, backing up. But back then, every commercial, people wanted to make a wager on every March Madness game. It was really amazing. If you have a team that's a 14-point favorite, second half they're down by 3. Well, you may want to come back with a favorite. And that's what we were seeing. I thought, boy, this is interesting. And right about that time, that's when, betting on your phone in Nevada started taking off. I thought, whoa, here we go. Scale's going to be more achievable. So, right about the time 2015 came around, we had the opportunity to buy the Vegas Club. And then after a little bit of thought, we decided, okay, we're going to demolish and we're going to start from the ground up here. And we knew at that point in time, the sports book was going to be something we were going to really focus on. But before Circa would open, because it basically took 5 years from that time until we opened Circa in October of 2020. What we wanted to do is we wanted to get in the sports betting business. So we opened a couple of years earlier with Circa Sports as our sports betting brand. So we opened at the Golden Gate. A few weeks later, we put a counter in at the D, but the big thing was really getting our app up in the state. And back then, retail was a much bigger percentage than the app. But boy, oh boy, has that ever changed. So, that's how you got the scale. So for us, really, it was the opening that the retail book gave us allowed us to really grow on our app. And then what we wanted to do was building Circa, we wanted to build the world's largest sports book, because I always thought that, in the last, let's say, 25 years of design in Vegas, I think there was maybe a little bit of a thought that sports books don't earn enough per square foot, those type of like Wall Street style variables, measurables. And I thought, yeah, I think something's going to change. People love betting on sports, and at some point maybe PASPA would be repealed. This was back in our design phase, and I said, if that happens, man, it's going to be great for Vegas, because you're going to introduce the whole country to legalized sports wagering, and eventually they're all going to want to come to Las Vegas. Therefore, we need to have the destination place for people to get to bet in other states, that when they come to Vegas, they want to see a great sports book.
Well, it took a lot of you're a gambler for sure. I mean, you open Circa in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, so you definitely ain't afraid to put it out there and gamble. And I've always said, when people ask me what makes a good table games guy, or what makes a good sports better, whatever, I said, you've had to live it. At some point in time, you've had to live it. I said, if you haven't lost your paycheck at a blackjack table, or you ain't been out on a 3-day bender, or what, you can't feel what that guy in that seat's feeling like. And that's how you can make the difference in the passion and knowing the business. And I think you've been such a avid sports bettor and a smart sports bettor. I mean, every future I see you make and get, almost win $1 million with Michigan. They're the one year in the Final Four. It's just amazing. Now, I consider myself a table games junkie. Do you consider yourself a sports junkie?
Well, it's a combination for me. I love sports as a fan. I love sports from a sports betting and now sports booking perspective. And we designed a joint. I get to hang around all the time where we get to watch the games, whether it's our sports book or Mega Bar or at Stadium Swim. We designed places that we kind of like to hang out at. There were really no consulting groups we used. We just designed a place that I thought that I remember in my day when I'm coming out to Vegas for sporting events like Wild Card Weekend or Super Bowl or big fights or something like that. Things that I always wished we had, and that's kind of how we designed it. We kind of designed everything really to make it easy for a sports bettor, and then now with today's technology, we try to make it really easy, and enjoyable with good numbers and good odds for people, so they got a shot.
Well, I've always seen, that not only do you fall back and lean on your experience in different facets, sports betting, gambling, or this, but you still have a futuristic view. I mean, you're able to stay in touch with the next generation of bettors, and I see that in Stadium Swim. I see it Circa, and Circa Sports. The book is just, folks, if you haven't seen the book, it's a bucket list item now. It's when they had 8 wonders of the world, well, they got 9 now. Well, anyway, getting back to that. Speaking about the 9th wonder of the world, did you panic when you seen this flood that came through? I know you did your heart stop a little bit or what?
Yeah, I was sitting here over at Mega Bar, and boy, that was when that crazy monsoon came into Vegas, and we were like, "Uh-oh, something might happen here." And literally, I was talking about the building. Man, it's really coming down. I hope something doesn't happen here. 2 minutes later, we got people running all over, and we see this thing. And fortunately, the building was in great shape, and we're a relatively new building, and we had the big storm sewer, the pipe burst, and the way it burst, it shot right through the big Daktronics board in our sports book. So yeah, we kind of thought about it. I mean, the first 45 minutes it was all emergency, all hands on deck, trying to minimize the damage. But after we had a whole crew, doing what they could do, my thought was the best thing you could do is just let's have a little fun with this. I mean, we know we're gonna fix it. The only question is when. And fortunately, we were able to get back up by Sunday morning. So just a few days later, we were fortunate that we're pretty new. So all of our extra panels that we purchased when, as safety stock and replacement that we ordered before Circa opened, we still had them. So at least we had the panels. We weren't in a queue waiting for 10 months. So we were able to cobble it all together and make sure the games are being shown by Sunday afternoon.
Well, that's one thing I've always appreciated about you and the way you run your business. I mean, you don't tolerate something looking bad or something taking weeks and months to fix. I remember I was sitting long bar one day and it started pouring air. It was the same thing way at the far end, and it did some really bad damage. And I'm like, oh, this is weeks. 3 days later, you couldn't even tell that the thing happened. So kudos to you and your team. It's just fantastic. So let's get back to sports wagering. The $57 billion is what's going to be a bet in the United States this year legally, and 156 million a day. That's big money. 28 legal states. And now you're out of Nevada. You're spreading your wings now. Circa Sports is now in Colorado. Am I correct? And soon to be in Illinois.
Yeah, we've got Circa Sports Colorado. We've been up a couple years there. Circa Sports Iowa, we opened up a little more than a year ago, and we'll be opening up Circa Sports Illinois in the first half of 2023. So had to spend a little time in Illinois, and we've gone through our licensing there. So we're excited about coming into Illinois. Illinois is going to be the first state outside of Nevada where we're going to have a retail book. That's in the new casino going up in Waukegan, called the Temporary. So just northern Chicago suburbs. We'll have a retail book there, and that's in their temporary casino. And then we'll be building a large sports book in their permanent. But the big thing is for us getting in Illinois and getting our Circa Sports app up throughout the whole state.
Well, I'm telling you what, I'm really amazed. Here in Pennsylvania, that the amount of sports betting inside at the brick and mortar casinos. I mean, I think a lot of people are, still hesitant to get on an app and everything. They just come in and they fire. And the low limits, that you didn't see before in sports betting. You can bet a game for 9 cents, 10 cents, and it's developing a whole new gambler. Now they got to walk into this brick and mortar casino to make a bet, and now they turn into blackjack players and roulette players and slot players. I think we're touching a whole. Every time they say, we're saturated or too much gaming, it just something else pushes it. I remember when I moved to Vegas in I don't remember what it was, 80, 85, 87, somewhere around there. The population of the United States, only 7% of them have been exposed to any type of gaming. And that's bingos, lotteries, and everything. And now that number's still only up to around 47, 46, but there's still room to grow. And sports betting has, a lot of people think because they played football or something, they think they know sports. I do, a lot of people do know sports well, like yourself, but there's others who think they know. And it's amazing to me to watch these people bet. They bet these tickets now. Now our casino, where there's no actual physical person, we have a zillion kiosks, right? And these tickets get feet long. They play. I don't know how many games or parlays they're playing, but the parlays have created a whole new. When you talk about that, the old style sports book, when you're talking about Leroy, we're talking 5-6% margins. I mean, these brick and mortar casinos are doing a real margin, 14, 15, 17%, and that just was unheard of in sports wagering.
Yeah, I mean, I think technology really allowed sports betting to grow. Obviously, with the utilization of your phone to make your wager, so you can wager within whatever jurisdiction you're in. That's massive. But I think what you just said is with the kiosks, that changes things. I mean, when you think about not all that long ago, there was a certain minimum bet you had to make to go up to a ticket writer. If you think about a ticket writer can't sit behind a window and take $1 bets nonstop. It just that you just can't do it. There's a cost, the labor cost to it. But what's happened with these kiosks now, people can bet $2, can bet $1 or less. And what you're seeing is effectively a $2 10-teamer you know what? It's a lot more fun than waiting for your five numbers plus your Powerball. I mean, it's just there's a lot more to it. It just opens up the market to many more players. Specifically, when you look at a sport, one thing that I think really transformed some of sports betting was in calendar year 2020 when the pandemic happened. And there was a lack of sports. I mean, everybody was locked up at home and there was nothing on TV. There was no sports on TV. It was a year of uncertainty and not knowing what's going on with the pandemic. But when you think about what Dana White did and developing Fight Island and then developing Apex and putting sports content on, I could argue, let's say 10 years down the road, that what UFC did in 2020 was just monumental. It was monumental for the country. Now he took advantage of something that there was huge demand for live sports content, as we know, because KBO, Korean baseball, came in and got a little niche going. And then with what UFC did was pretty dramatic. And the reason why UFC ends up being significant in sports betting going forward is because there's so many fights on a UFC card. People love betting 8-teamers, 10-teamers on UFC. It is unbelievable the percentage of tickets written in UFC that are parlays versus straight bets. Never seen this before. Not in baseball. You don't see it in football or basketball or hockey. But on UFC, the ticket percentage written that's a parlay is unbelievable. So it was the perfect timing, the perfect product, and at the right year of technology. So that really changed, I think, sports betting going forward.
Well, I think it was a perfect storm, just similar to the Chris Moneymaker and the big push that happened in poker, right? I mean, it was just everything came together at the right time, and just this made poker the big thing at that point in time. Poker's kind of waning, but I don't see sports betting ever waning. So I think it's created a new revenue stream, an incremental revenue for the casinos that they've never even thought what was going to happen. Another thing I'm intrigued by, Derek, and I don't know if Circa Sports offers this or not, but I see these buyback bets. You know what I'm talking about? It's like surrender in blackjack. It's like you can cross finger, hey, you know what? I want to get out of this ticket, and that's a new thing in sports betting, is it not?
Yeah, that's a new thing in sports betting. It depends upon your tech. It depends upon your state's regulations. And how it gets evaluated. Benny, back in our days, the way you get a buyback, effectively, if you've got the back end of an 8-teamer and it's a Monday Night Football game, we all learned the word hedge.
Yeah.
Nowadays we use the word monetize. You basically got to bet the other way and you figure it out. I think in many ways, that's still a better way to monetize what you got on your phone, because some of the offers you're given, I mean, it's like deal or no deal. Some of these offers aren't the best odds. So but it's something that's changed, because you can obviously do it right on your phone. You're like, yeah, okay, I'll take the buyout, boom, and you monetize right there.
So any downsides to all this sports wagering and everything that's going on in this big large expansion of sports betting? I said not going to stop. Ohio goes online January 1st. Any downsides you see, Derek?
Well, let me go to the upside. I mean, I think sports wagering, as it grows throughout the country, it's good for leagues. B, it's good for team owners. C, it's spectacular for media. D, it's good for passionate fans. E, it's great for brand new fans. The thing about sports that's changed as well is, remember, it's now in a unique category of media and entertainment. And what I mean by that is, heck, when I was a kid, it was Thursday night was must-see TV, and I want to watch Friends or I want to watch Cheers. You change your schedule to watch a show. Now, the only thing that people really change their schedule for when it comes to television is live sports programming. I mean, you never, you might have the latest Netflix show out. You might have the latest HBO Max show out, but individuals consume that entertainment on their own schedule. Sports is different. Sports can still change people's schedules. They change their lives. You change what you're doing to be orientated around your favorite team or your favorite event. Nobody ever walks up to, I'm kind of busy on Sunday. I'm not going to watch a Super Bowl. I'm going to record it. I'll watch it Monday. That doesn't happen. So it's all live programming, which means everybody's watching the commercials, things like that. Unlike different forms of entertainment. So I think there's so many positives here. When you're asking about what the negatives are, well, I guess you could say maybe there's a few people that go overboard. That could happen, but that can happen in anything we're doing. So, so far, I think this is just a great thing. I think it's great for society because it's creating more sports fans. I think sports fans are good for individual teams and communities. And you see, whether you're a Blackhawks fan, whether you're a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, it brings community together. So I think there's just so much upside. I guess maybe you could say people don't spend enough time um, hanging out, maybe doing their household chores because it's too easy to defer them till tomorrow type of thing. But other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see a whole lot of downsides to it. I mean, I know here in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, when I was there, there is a new kind of problem, and that's these people who pull up to the door of a casino, leave their 3 kids in a car, and run in and hit the kiosk. It's too much of a temptation to do, and we can't. Today, I think, or yesterday, Pennsylvania actually launched a website based on that fact about leaving. It's such a prevalent problem here. But I'm sure, after a few good busts, they're going to get these people under control. They're going to understand that's just not something you do.
That's horrible. That's horrible. I have not seen anything like that in Vegas. I haven't seen anything like that in Illinois or Colorado either. But remember, Colorado and Illinois, I'm sorry, Colorado and Iowa, they're remote registration, remote funding states. So nobody's doing something like that. And in Vegas, I think everybody's downloaded the app, and they stop in and they fund their app when they're on their way home from work or something like that. So that's a terrible situation. I've not ever heard that. I've personally never even seen that. So yeah, I mean, something's got to be done. I mean, that's clearly a very negative situation that I think will get ironed out real quickly.
Yeah, I believe so too. Let me ask you a question. Esports, has it got a place in sports wagering?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot. Esports, there's a pretty big push on this in Vegas in like 2016 and onward. I'll be honest, I'm probably out of my league. I like playing video games as a kid, but I played the sports games. I've not been able to figure this one out myself. I know, obviously I got to pay attention. If you could fill up the Staples Center with people that are watching events, obviously it's meaningful. From a sports gaming perspective, I think we're still pretty early in the game, particularly when you still have to deal with how do you protect against underage gambling? How do you protect on gambling in currencies or units of measure that aren't legal? There's no legal wagering that includes crypto right now, and that's very prevalent. So I think there's still some things that got to be ironed out. So for Circa Sports and for our casinos, we're a bit more of in a wait and see mode. We've done a handful of esports championship weekends in our ballroom, but they've been more along the lines of meeting rentals and bringing commentators in to talk about things on Twitch, more from a media perspective. As far as a sports gambling perspective, I think you need to have more of a wide stream acceptance so you have more of a wide stream betting base. It's the same thing like when we say, in Vegas now there's a new box lacrosse league coming in. Well, will we take action? Well, unless there's a TV deal, it's pretty tough to drum up interest unless there's a TV deal. So that's something I think when you look at esports, it's got to develop a little bit more to be relevant.
Yeah, well, you hit it right on the head with all the points that I was going to ask you about the underage thing. And the funny thing is, somebody was telling me about esports who's really kind of into it. And they said, like an esports person is washed up at 22 years old. They're just they can't compete. And that kind of fascinates me that somebody, how fast they can go. Their time like a cat or something. Every month they play is like 7 years. So let me ask you a question here. I had Palm on, and he said he set some money lines on some different things, some odd things, and I'm going to give you some sports things and some other things, and you give me the money line, all right? So Donald Trump announced his presidency run again. What would you say the money line is on him winning the Republican nomination?
I think he's a pretty good size underdog today.
Eagles to win 13 games.
To win 13, going to 16, 1, 17. They got a tougher schedule, but I would say 13 over. If it's just a 13, over is going to be more like over minus 500.
How about the Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup?
Oh, they've been playing pretty good. They lost their last couple. I would say the Golden Knights would probably be in the top 5 right now. Now we are talking in November, so I wouldn't really like to bet anybody in hockey unless I'm getting at least 12-1.
Gasoline going under 250 in the next 24 months.
No shot. Off the board. And no way.
No action on that.
No way.
So you're the king of future bets. I mean, you've been very successful at it. What would, if you had to put your money on something right now, what would it be?
Ooh. Well, why don't we stick with something mainstream? Why don't we stick with something why don't we go with the NFL right now? I would say a month ago, it just felt like everybody felt Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, this was a foregone conclusion. And everybody wrote the Chiefs off. Well, things kind of changed. Josh Allen got hurt. Buffalo's now 6-3. Chiefs are 7-2. Chiefs got a tough schedule coming up. Buffalo's got a tough schedule. And let's go back to something I talked about many times back in August is the power of a third place or last place schedule in the NFL. Right now, the Baltimore Ravens are 6-3, but if you take a look at their schedule, their next 8 games, you would not believe how easy their schedule is. I would have the Ravens as a bigger favorite than I would Buffalo today. Solely because I think their schedule lends himself to a very good record as we get to the end of the year. So that would probably be if I had to make one play right now, it would be Ravens to win the AFC and Ravens to win the Super Bowl.
I was going to ask you, that'd be my next question. Who I want commitment on who's going to win the Super Bowl. I tend to agree with you. Boy, I tell you, before I wrote I know you had to cancel. You kind of probably screamed too much at the football games. You got laryngitis the one week and couldn't make it. And I had all these questions down, but I had to change them all because of Josh Allen and all this this movement in the last few weeks. So it's really been crazy. So I got to tell you, Derek, I really appreciate you coming on. As Richie would say, it's a real big deal. It's a really big deal for me. And I really want to thank you for your time. I have a lot of operators who watch this vlog pretty consistently. Now, if they want to get involved with Circa Sports and maybe take you on, how did they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm pretty easy to reach on Twitter. You can reach out to myself on Twitter, or you can get a hold of Mike Palm on Twitter. That's pretty easy. And effectively, if you happen to be in Vegas, Benny, you know where I hang out. At night, I'm going to be at the one end of the long bar, or I'll be at one end of the mega bar here at Circa, or maybe in the sports book. So, but I'm pretty easy to find. So if anybody wants to reach out and talk sports or talk casinos or talk some business, I love doing that over a drink.
Well, that's awesome, Derek. And like I said, you really made such a special difference down. I rated there. Somebody said, "What's the best jobs you ever had in your life?" And I rated my time with you and the D at number 2. Of course, my time at the Hard Rock during its heyday was just, that you came to the Hard Rock. You were a guest at that time. It was. Yeah, I had to vote it number 1, but the D and the whole experience downtown was amazing to me. And being close to you and being able to learn a few things off you as well. For a guy who thinks he knows it all, man, I learned a lot down there. And especially even Dave. Everything matters. Dave taught me some things that who would have thought that. Anyway, Derek, thanks for being on Being the Know. I appreciate you coming on. We're going to have to do it again and talk a little bit more about where you're going to go from Las Vegas. I know you got to make a move out. So most people are trying to find a connection to Vegas. You got the Vegas connection. Now maybe it's time for the D to go regional. So any last words, Derek?
No, Benny, great to talk to you. Great to see you again. And yeah, anytime you're down, let's set up some time. We can sit at the end of the bar and have some drinks and talk about some old times. So I love doing that.
It sounds good, Derek. Thanks for being on BNO. Everybody, there's a little subscription button here. You got to hit that thing, pound the bell for notifications, and we'll see you next time. And if you got to find out anything, you got to be in the know. See you next time.